You are not stuck with the brain you have right now. I know that sounds like a poster on a dentist's wall. It isn't. It's one of the most repeated findings in modern brain science. For most of the last century, the experts believed the opposite. They thought your brain was finished, set like concrete somewhere in your 20s. The wiring you had was the wiring you'd die with. You can't teach an old dog new tricks wasn't just a saying, it was the official position. They were wrong. Your brain is changing its physical shape right now, while you watch this. The only real question is whether it's changing in a direction you chose, or a direction that just happened to you. So in the next 10 minutes, I'll show you exactly how that rewiring works, in plain English, and the 3 things that decide what gets wired in. Stay to the end, because the most important one is the one almost nobody mentions. It isn't effort, and it isn't willpower. Let's get into it. The word for all of this is neuroplasticity. Don't let it scare you, snap it in half. Neuro, your brain. Plastic, able to be shaped. Your brain is shapeable. That's the whole idea, dressed up in a lab coat. Here's the picture I want you to hold on to. Imagine your brain as a huge field of tiny knots, with strings running between them. Each knot is a brain cell. Each string is a connection, a thought, a habit, a skill. It's just a particular set of strings firing together in a particular order. Now here's the part that changes everything. Those strings aren't fixed. Every time you think a thought or repeat a behavior, you tug the same strings, and the strings you tug get stronger. The ones you ignore go slack. Scientists put it neatly. Neurons that fire together, wire together. I call it the footpath rule. Picture a field of tall grass. The first time you walk across it, there's no path. Every step is work. But walk the same line 100 times and you wear a trail. Soon that trail is the obvious way across. You don't decide to take it. Your feet just go. Your brain does the exact same thing with thoughts. Worry enough times, and worry becomes the worn path. Reach for your phone the second you feel bored, enough times, and that becomes the trail your hand takes on its own. This is the good news and the slightly uncomfortable news in the same breath. You didn't choose most of your paths. You just walked them until they wore in, which means they can be reworn. A new path, walked enough, becomes the default. The old one, left alone, grows over. And this works at any age. One well-known set of studies followed London taxi drivers, who have to memorize 26,000 streets to earn their license, a brutal exam they call the knowledge. When researchers scanned their brains, a memory region had physically grown larger, and the longer they'd driven, the bigger it was. These were grown adults, average age in their 40s. Their brains reshaped to fit what they practiced, not as children, as adults. Like you. So the question was never, can you rewire? You already are, every single day. The question is how to point it on purpose. And that comes down to 3 drivers. Driver number 1 is attention. Here's something most people have backwards. They think the brain rewires around whatever they do. Not quite. It rewires around whatever they pay attention to while they do it. Your brain is flooded with information every second, far more than it could ever keep. So it needs a way to flag what matters. That flag is attention. When you focus, really focus, your brain releases a chemical that works like a highlighter pen, marking the exact circuits that are switched on and saying, this one, save this one. I call it the spotlight. Whatever you shine it on gets stronger. Whatever sits in the dark fades out. Fine, says a voice in your head. I'll just do my reps while half watching TV. That's the trap. Practice on autopilot barely moves the needle because the spotlight's switched off. 10 genuinely focused minutes will reshape more than an hour of distracted going through the motions. Your brain isn't counting your hours. It's watching where your attention goes. So the first lever is dead simple, and it's free. When you want something to stick, give it your undivided attention. Phone in another room. One thing at a time. Boring advice, backed by your own biology. Driver number 2 is repetition. This is the one you saw coming, but there's a twist hidden inside it. Attention says this matters. Repetition says it matters again. And again. Each clean repeat wraps a little more insulation around that circuit. Picture a muddy dirt road slowly being paved into a smooth highway. The signal then travels faster, easier, more automatic. That's what second nature actually is, physically. A paved road in your head. Now the twist, And it's where most people quit. You've heard it takes 21 days to build a habit. That number is a myth. It traces back to a plastic surgeon in the 1960s who noticed patients took about 3 weeks to adjust to a new face, and somehow that became gospel for everything. When researchers actually measured habit building, the average came out closer to 66 days. And for some people, far longer. Why does that matter so much? Because most people give up right at the hardest stretch. Around week 3, the new path still feels like effort, the old path still looks easier, and they decide, this isn't working, I'm just not wired for it. They're not failing. They're standing at the exact spot where the road is half paved, and walking away before the asphalt sets. But that same research came with a gift. Missing a single day didn't wreck the process. So you don't need a perfect streak, you need a durable one. Show up more often than you don't, for longer than feels reasonable, and the path paves itself. Driver number 3 is the one almost nobody talks about. Emotion. Your brain rewires faster around moments that carry feeling. There's a reason you can't remember last Tuesday's lunch, but you can remember exactly where you were standing during the biggest moments of your life. Emotion acts like a stamp that says, important, file this deep, and you can borrow that on purpose. Don't just repeat the new behavior. Attach a why that genuinely moves you. Not, I should read more. Instead, picture the person you become 2 years from now if you keep going. Feel that for a second. The feeling is the stamp. But I'll change, says that voice again, once I finally feel motivated. Here's the reframe. Motivation isn't the entry fee. It's the reward you collect after you start walking the new path. Waiting to feel like it is waiting for a bus that never comes. You move first. The feeling catches up. And there's a quieter truth folded inside this one. A little discomfort isn't a sign you're doing it wrong. It's the sign you're doing it at all. Comfort just runs the old programs on autopilot. That faint friction of, this is hard, this is new. That strain is the doorway. The change lives on the other side of it. So, attention, repetition, emotion. Shine the spotlight, walk the path, stamp it with feeling. You'd assume the rewiring happens right there, in the heat of the effort. It doesn't. And this is the part I promised you, the one hardly anyone mentions. During the practice itself, almost nothing permanent changes. The real construction happens later, while you sleep. All day, your focus and effort flag the circuits. This one, this one, this one. Then at night, off the clock, your brain goes back and actually lays the cable. I call it the night shift. This flips how you should see a hard day. The struggle isn't the rewiring. The struggle is you placing the order. Sleep is when it ships, which means skip the sleep, and you've placed an order that never gets built. You can do everything right all day and quietly undo it by scrolling until 1 in the morning. Protecting your sleep isn't a separate health tip. It's the step where the change becomes real. Let me hand you one thing to actually do, not 10. 1. Pick a single small behavior you want to make automatic. Make it almost embarrassingly small, 5 minutes, not an hour. Then run the drivers across it. Give it your full attention, phone gone, just this. Repeat it daily and expect it to feel like effort longer than you'd like. That's normal, that's the road still setting. Tie it to a feeling, a quick picture of the future you it builds. Then guard your sleep that night, so the night shift can finish the job. That's the entire method. Spotlight, footpath, stamp, sleep. Small enough to start today. Strong enough to change what's automatic by the time the season turns. Let's go back to where we started. You are not stuck with the brain you have. Every thought you practice, every action you repeat, everything you give your attention to, you're casting a vote for the brain you'll own a year from now. You've been voting your whole life, mostly by accident. The only thing that's changed today is that now you know you're holding the ballot. You don't have to overhaul your life tonight. You just have to walk one new step across the grass. Then walk it again tomorrow. The path won't look like much at first. It never does. But your brain doesn't reward the dramatic. It rewards the repeated. So pick your one path and take the first step today. Because the best brain you'll ever have isn't behind you. It's the one you're wiring right now. Quick note. This is for learning, not medical or therapy advice. If you're working through something serious, a good professional is worth their weight. And if you want the strangest place this science shows up, the real neuroscience behind manifesting, why it genuinely works, and exactly where the magic ends, hit that subscribe button to know when that video's ready.